I just wanted a little bit higher zinc in this. Zinc and phosphorus are a little bit higher than the other formulas. This is the FS. So. Okay, this engine's only been running about an hour in the last 25 years. We're going to change oil. It's got Mobil 1 last change in 1995. I just ran it for about 20 minutes. We're going to go through and drain the oil here. I'm going to get some up for an oil sample here. Let it drain for a while. Get some here. I think you only need about 4 ounces. There you go. Used to send this off to Cleveland Technical Center. I'm not sure. I think there's a Blackstone in Indiana. But this has got 5W30. It was last changed in 1994, and here it is, September 2019, and I did a first start on this vehicle. And I had some goobers go through and screw around and steal some wheels off of it, and they put a thing under here and bent the oil pan, so it's got a big ass dent in there, which is kind of bad. But figures good time. Finally got the engine to run. Put a new injector in it. Fuel regulator. So we're going to let this drip here for a while and then change the filter. It's got a AC filter in it. I'm going to change it to, the filter is actually up right there. And I already backed that off just a little bit just to make sure it was loose. And so I'm going to go through and what I did is I bowled the engine over with a breaker bar. You'd put some 3-in-1 oil and some other oils inside of it. Put the spark plugs back in. Had a stuck fan belt up here. Right up here, the one for the power steering was totally stuck. But other than that, it turned right over. Yeah, I just hit the camera. Other than that, it turned right over. So we're just going to go, we got this hot. Well, actually, it looks pretty darn good. I thought it'd be all lumpy and stuff. But I've used Mobil 1 on this since it had just like, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 miles. Broke in with different types of oils, and then I've used Mobil 1 ever since. So I'm going to put 0W40 back in here, Mobil 1 European, because it's got a little bit more phosphorus and zinc for flat tappets. This doesn't have roller lifters. This is a 1982. So what I usually like to do, I like to go through and just let this drip and get the dregs out. And idiots went through and screwed up my car here. This used to be the lowest point, and now it's got, they jacked this up under here with a board and screwed up the oil pan. And so, I don't know. What do? Idiots will be idiots. I put a little bit of the new oil through there just to flush out some of the dregs. Sometimes that's a little trick. Put a few ounces in there and let it kind of trickle out. Okay, I added a couple ounces of new oil to kind of get some of the dregs out, and I'm going to probably change this again a few thousand miles, but I'm not going to wait here all day. I should, but I'll put this back in. It's got a 15 millimeter. And so Since I'm the only one that changes, this is fairly easy to not go crazy on the torque. This is just a cheap set of sockets. That's plenty right there. I've never had a leak on this thing. Okay, there you go. I probably should wait longer, but like this thing having the big dent in there is kind of bad. I don't know. Okay, that's it. Okay, let's see if we can attempt to take the oil filter off. Just reach down here and grab us some. Ooh, it's hot. So this oil filter has been on since 1994. Here it is, 2019. It's got about, it's about 3/4 full. I can go through and take this up through like around here and not dump it out. That's about it. Okay, I'm going to put the oil filter on and make sure there's no gasket that's left up under here. Make sure there's no rubber gasket. It's good to do. You don't want to have two gaskets on there, that's a disaster. So I just verified it came off with the old filter. I've pre-filled the filter about 50% because that filter is just about horizontal, which means I got to put it on real quick. And I'm going to lose some oil, but I prefer to pre-fill it. So, got the filter above here, PF47, General Motors, AC. Put my hand down in here. I've done this 20 different times. I feel that like a blind man. I got the filter. And I'm going to take this and just stick it on here real quick. And I know there's oil coming out, but I haven't put one on for 25 years. So, here it goes. I think you're supposed to put them on 3/4 of a turn. I've never had to ever use a wrench. So there's where it's contacting. So go about 2/3 of a turn lower than that. I hate it when you get a car and you can't get the filter off. I've never had one of these leak ever. That's plenty right there. Wipe the lower radiator hose. Make sure it's not a problem. If you're a real guru, what you can do is you can go through and crank it over without having it fire off if you want to really reduce the amount of wear and start up, but it's about half full. That's a PF47. That's pretty much all I've ever used in this car. Never had a problem with them. That one's made in England, and the other one I've got from the mid-90s. I have two ones I've had forever in my spare parts is made in USA, and it's maybe made by Hastings, actually, OEM. The font's a little bit different, but they're both PF47s. Okay, I put 3 quarts in. This stuff's so clear you can barely see what. I think it's right to the ad, but it's difficult to tell. Looks like it's right before the ad, so I might add about probably another quart in there and crank it up. It'll drop down some. That's about a half. This stuff's thin, isn't it? The zero's actually at freezing, whatever, so it's kind of a 4. It almost looks like it's past full. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this off and crank it up. See what happens. Let it run for a couple of minutes, look for leaks. Got to get the keys. Neutral. Got some oil on one of the belts. Oil light went out in about 2 or 3 seconds. If you crank it over, a lot of times I crank it over without a ignition hooked up. I got some spills through here. There's AC belts too loose. Run this for a minute or 2 and stop and check the oil level. Okay, we're going to check the oil. Hold it all the way down in there. It's about right there. Tad, about 1/8 inch above full. That's probably okay. If it was a different engine, I'd worry about it, but it's been there for years on here, so I got sloppy with this, but good enough to go. Okay, I put Mobil 1 0W40 European car formula in there, just because it's got a little bit higher zinc and phosphorus than the normal stuff. Stuff it's always had in it's had a little bit more phosphorus and zinc than the current offerings. So just got this at Walmart. It's like 27 bucks. 0W40. This is actually at the low temperature, you know, like freezing. This is around like 210. I've run 50 weight in it before. If they had this in a 0 30, I would have put that in there if it had the higher zinc. Here's the old oil filter. It's filled up to about here, so even though it's horizontal, if you get it out of there quick, what I usually do is get it to be sort of not loose before I crank it up to heat it up, so it's only snug about a half a turn instead of 2/3 to 3/4, and then I can get it off quicker when it's hot and I get more oil out of it, just so I don't make a mess. But that's a PF47, been on there since 1994, so need to be taken off, oil changed. Here's the two filters. They're both 18mm 1.5 thread. This one I just put on, made in England. This one here is made in USA. Font's a little bit different. Made in United Kingdom, made in USA. Actually got the same barcode, but they're slightly different. This one particular here only goes through a 89 car. This one goes up to a 91. So this one is probably a newer filter. At least the packaging is. And I got it at $2.97 at Kmart in Simi Valley. And I'm putting in Mobil 1 0W40, just because it's got a little bit more zinc and phosphorus for a flat tappet engine. So I've always used Mobil 1. I'm going to use this 0W40. It's had 5W30 forever. One time I used 15W50 back in the early 90s, but I think after 96 they started to pull the zinc out, so I wanted to use this.